Happy Friday to you, Crudy Evan, on the board, our fair audience, TGIF, baby.
And a big football weekend as well. The Packers kick off this weekend. Very excited about that.
Oh, Packers Vikings. Uh-oh.
The beginning of the championship season, Dom. It begins anew. Dom, we got a big show for Friday, a really big show, quite frankly. We've got Democratic Party of Wisconsin Chairman Ben Wikler. He's coming along in like 25 minutes, Dom. Be here soon. Also, our good friend Pat Krietlow. He is the editor of the Up North News. And Pat is also the host of the Up North News show. And if you don't hear Pat mornings, 8 to 11 a.m. in your market, you could always stream them. You could use the WXCO Bull Falls Radio on the TuneIn app, or you could go to the Devil Radio app. I think we're calling it the Civic app these days, but you know it's the Devil Radio app. And find the code channel for the Bull Falls Radio and listen to them there. And Dom, coming soon, more and more channels on the formerly Devil Radio app. So,
I can't wait.
Yeah, coming soon next week. Going to be a big week for this little entity. But the Devil's Advocates, man, we're kind of a big deal each and every day. So Pat Krietlow, our big deal buddy, joining us at 5:30. You can always be a part. You, our fair audience, at 844-967-2789. Got Evan in the world headquarters of Devil Radio here in Madison. He is lately screening your calls. But Tom, I rarely do this. I defer to you for the very first grievance of the week of the Friday afternoon. My buddy, the floor is yours.
Oh, man, I got to tell you, Crudy, I thought yesterday we got it all out of our system, right? Queen Elizabeth is dead. Long live the Queen, right? All of that, all the pomp and circumstances and history and arguments that I've had with you and some friends outside of the show about this, royalty and all that, and which, of course, I take some umbrage with. But yes, Crudy, you have something to say?
Well, only that. I did hear a complaint, the fact that the British would suddenly try to make a man a queen.
Yeah, right away. The Irish
Charles
response.
III is
Irish
the new
Twitter
queen,
last.
right?
Have you seen any of the Irish Twitter, man? You thought I was harsh yesterday? Man, the Irish Twitter, they went off. Pretty entertaining. But I thought, we'll put this behind us. Grandmotherly old type passed on, condolences to the family, so on and so forth. But, kill the monarchy. I'm fine with that. But today, just when I thought we had put it behind us and we're going to focus back on, democracies and republics and, representation and people being equal, all those kinds of wonderful things.
The Queen is dead. Long live the King.
Oh, then the King. King Chucky. Hey, Heidi ho, I'm your friend at the end. King Chucky comes out and he gives his first King speech. And what happens here in the United States of America? ABC, CBS, NBC, they broadcast this live? What? The same broadcasters that would not show the president, the elected president of the United States, calling alarm, calling attention to the danger of the fascism of the maggots. They didn't play that, but they played King Chucky today?
Well, Don, the networks made a very logical conclusion to exclude the primetime speech of Joe Biden last week because, of course, Don, you can't preempt the reruns of Young Sheldon or Press Your Luck or, what was it? Law and Order, Tom. Law and Order.
Yeah.
Right? They didn't want to preempt their reruns. So, I'm sure that was the reason today. They probably had nothing of importance going on in these networks.
The decline of Western civilization will be televised unless it's a rerun of Law and Order. But not only that, Crudy, I also saw Days of Our Lives. East Coast fans of Days of Our Lives were not happy that the final few moments of the last episode to air on NBC was interrupted by a live speech from King Chucky following the death of his mom.
They preempted the very final episode of Days of Our Lives, Dom?
Can you
like sand through the hourglass?
I mean, what are you talking about, man? Meg Ryan, she's got to be mad.
I thought,
apparently Days of Our Lives is moving over to the streaming Peacock only app, so you're not going to get it on broadcast. But who cares if they're going to preempt it to play King Chucky, but they're not going to preempt it to show your president sounding the alarm, a very reasonable alarm of the fascists and the violence that's coming, that has already occurred, that will probably come with the maggots, but they play King Chucky. I just find that terribly, terribly ironic.
Well, doesn't a King Trump a president, Dom? Isn't a president around a Jack level? I'm not quite sure in the whole, deck of cards and all.
I think once we won the Revolutionary War, we don't do that anymore. I just don't get it, man. Why are people bending over backwards for the monarchy? It's just so weird, people. And we have actual issues from actual, elected officials. I don't know, like the president talking to the country about something that's very dear to his heart, should be dear to all of our hearts. The danger, the democracy is fracturing. The big lie, it permeates like a cancer. It's driven by guys like Trump and his acolytes like Bannon, right? But no, the broadcasters can't play that. But some king from some other country, that's important. Terrible, terrible, terrible.
Are you done ranting, fella?
I guess I'll stop now.
Let me talk about the woman that should have been queen or president, as the case may be. I'd like to air a little grievance on behalf of Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
I found this one at the Raw Story, one of my favorite sources. Hillary Clinton offered some questions she has for Melania Trump, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, and Facebook chief Mark Zuckerberg. Hope it's not shade, Dom. The former Secretary of State appeared on Andy Cohen's Bravo talk show, Watch What Happens Live, with her daughter Chelsea to promote their own TV show, Gutsy. I didn't know Hillary and Chelsea were doing a TV show. I wonder if it'll be on the Peacock streaming service, Dom. Hillary admitted that she often thinks about how correctly she had predicted how Donald Trump's presidency would play out, reporting by the Daily Beast. It does cross my mind, honestly, she said, but it doesn't provide any sort of solace to me. I'm so sad. I am so distressed that everything that happened during the time he was there, and then his refusal to accept the election and inciting violence, it's heartbreaking. I hope people of whatever party will just say, no, enough. We are not going to let that kind of divisiveness and disruption exist in our country any longer. It's so important to stop it. Clinton also called for laws codifying abortion rights and same-sex marriage. And she said she's newly open to term limits for Supreme Court justices. We all kind of are, aren't we, Dom?
These days, certainly.
And Dom, she said she had only one question for Clarence Thomas. Do you want to retire? One more. Hillary Clinton had one more question, at least. This one, Clinton also revealed what she would ask Melania Trump after the FBI searched Mar-a-Lago looking for classified documents. According to the reporting here, Dom, Hillary Clinton, on the show with Andy Cohen, here's her question for Melania. How's your summer going?
Terrible, man. Hopefully it's going pretty crappy. I mean, given the circumstances her husband finds himself in, it's got to be a little stressful around the bedroom, don't you think?
Which bedroom? The Clinton bedroom or the Trump bedroom? Because the Trump stress bedroom. Both ways.
Yeah, right.
Dominic, a little more stress for the Trump bedroom. He might be feeling a little inadequate these days. He had this lawsuit. Donald Trump sued like Hillary Clinton, a bunch of defendants, because they apparently, inspired this investigation of him for Russia. And so anyways, I've got some analysis here from the Washington Post. Philip, want to go here next. Trump presented his Russia hoax theory to a court. And as the headline says, it went poorly.
You chose poorly.
Apparently. And I've got a little coverage of this from the Foxy News as well. They've already got the reaction of the president's team. Let's just say they plan on appealing.
You think?
One of the hallmarks of Donald Trump's tenure in American politics has been the extent to which he remained cocooned in his own world. As president, that was often literal. He moved from the White House to his properties in tightly controlled events and to boisterous political rallies, rarely coming across critics or skeptics. No one ever told him about the Devil's Advocates, greatest radio show ever. I read on. It was also true of his presence in public conversation. He had his Twitter universe and his Fox News conversations, and he was content. Outsiders could peek in and report on what he was doing and saying and how it was received. But with Star Trek-like result, there was no observable impact on the universe being watched. It was a rhetorical terrarium. A rhetorical terrarium, Tom.
Yeah, fill a bump, man.
Don't water him too much. Self-contained and self-sufficient. An ecosystem where nonsense thrived and spread, where conspiracy theories competed Darwinically for dominance. I didn't even know that word existed. Darwinically for dominance. So his vague dismissals of the Russian investigation as a hoax in early 2017 had by 2021 been complicated organisms, vines stretching and intertwining throughout the pro-Trump media universe. But Dom, sometimes you got to leave the bubble. You got to leave the terrarium. And the bubble boy, well, he had a bad day in court, Dom. Really, really bad day. He's appealing. He claims he's appealing through counsel.
When the judge calls your lawsuit a manifesto, that's not going very well for you.
Come back with us. Dom, are you done with your manifesto about the monarchy?
For now.
You didn't write it down, so it's not a manifesto. More Friday grievances. Yours could be next. 844-96-PARTY.
We have searched every square inch of this base, and all we have found is porno, porno, porno!
I had to beat off all this stuff.
Pa, why can't we telegraph while riding a horse?
Son, there ain't no one to blame but Jeffro. He was riding old Betsy the Stallion, tip-tapping away at his telegraph, when blam! Ran right into the side of the saloon.
Well, if Jeffro can't do it, neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates.
The Republican Party on a national level, how many years did they investigate Hillary and Bill? They're still going to that.
They're still looking for emails, right? But they don't look in the Trump septic tank for half the top secret classified documents that he was flushing during his term. When one party doesn't care about governing, just don't allow anything to happen when the Democrats are in charge. And then they think the American people are going to get boonswoggled into voting Republican again.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
You're never completely ready to adopt a teen.
For late nights writing English papers.
For your teen's music taste.
For dinners, where they talk more on their phone than with you.
For the first time, they call you mom.
You're never completely ready to adopt a teen, and you can't imagine the reward.
To learn more about adopting a teen, visit adoptuskids.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
When they go low, we get high. The Devil's Advocates.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Happy Friday to us. All phone lines open, 844-967-2789.
Dominic B. Ben Wikler, Democratic Party chairman from the great state of Wisconsin, joins at the 4:30 bottom of this hour. I'd like to get back to this little analysis here at the Washington Post, the dismissal of the Trump lawsuit. But let's get into the heart of it, Dom. I'll go first, and then I'll let you quote the judge in his rulings. It's really quite good. The background here is interesting, by the way. Trump presented his grand Russia hoax conspiracy in the form of a lawsuit alleging that Hillary Clinton and others, FBI officials, attorneys, IT guys, had conspired against him in violation of racketeering statutes RICO, Dom. The result was filed in a specific courthouse in the Southern District of Florida, apparently with the hope that it would be heard by a particular judge that Trump himself had appointed. Let's see if the name's familiar, Dom. We'll get there in a moment. It wasn't. Instead, it was handed to District Judge Donald M. Middlebrooks. When Trump's legal team quickly moved to have Middlebrooks removed from the case alleging bias, Middlebrooks responded by disparaging the transparency of Trump's efforts. Here's a quote from the judge. I'll do the early ones. They get better from here. I note that plaintiff filed this lawsuit in the Fort Pierce division of this district, where only one federal judge sits. Wait for it, Dom. Judge Eileen Cannon.
Oh, of course he did.
Who the plaintiff appointed in 2020, he wrote in denying Trump's request. Despite the odds, this case landed with me instead. And when the plaintiff is a litigant before a judge that he himself appointed, he does not tend to advance the same sort of bias concerns. Eileen Cannon, you might be aware, is the jurist who recently issued a ruling of remarkable favorability on Trump's behalf in the matter of his FBI search of Mar-a-Lago. Well, she doesn't get to sit on the appellate court. She's not catching the appeal either, Dom. And Middlebrooks' blunt tone in assessing Trump's intent carried through to his dismissal of the lawsuit this week. Dom, I think it's only proper you take over here. As you took the LSAT twice.
Middlebrooks said this. Plaintiff's theory of this case, set forth in over 527 paragraphs in the first 118 pages of the amended complaint, is difficult to summarize in a cohesive and concise manner, Middlebrooks wrote as he began picking Trump's allegations apart. It was certainly not presented that way.
527 paragraphs? Would he submit War and Peace?
In short, the theory that flourished in Trump's friendly ecosystem was that the Russia probe was a function of explicit dishonesty on the part of Clinton, that her allies sought to create a dossier of false reports about Trump and Russia, and that they used stolen data to suggest a link between Trump's business and a Russian bank. The suit was filed only after the latter allegation became a central part of Special Counsel John Durham's investigation. Durham, you'll recall, was appointed by then Attorney General William Barr specifically to try to see whether a case could be made to cast the investigation into Russia interference as flawed or biased. Unfortunately for Trump, the case was also filed before Durham's case fell apart and before the lawyer targeted for prosecution, Michael Sussman, was found not guilty by a jury.
How's your summer going?
The amended complaint cites copiously to the indictment of Michael Sussman, and a substantial portion of the amended complaint contains its allegations, Middlebrooks write at one point. But nowhere does the amended complaint mention Sussman's acquittal. As one would expect, the focus of the decision is on the legal merits of the case, which Middlebrooks found entirely unconvincing. A quote, plaintiff cannot state a RICO claim without two predicate acts, he writes at one point, for example. And after two attempts, he has failed to plausibly allege even one.
This is the amended complaint. This is Trump's team's second crack at this.
Second crack at it, yes. Middlebrooks derides the sloppiness of the Trump's team's presentation, the obvious challenges with the statute of limitations for any such suit, and the quality of evidence offered. At one point, he notes that Trump's lawyers misunderstood an allegation centered on computer hacking. And the quote here, what must be off limits, he explained, is the area of the computer from which the information was obtained, not the information itself. Misunderstood the allegations. And another, he reflects on the circuitousness of Trump's assertions about the FBI probe into interference, codenamed Crossfire Hurricane. Perplexingly, plaintiff appears to argue that the defendants obstructed investigation Crossfire Hurricane by contributing to the initiation of Crossfire Hurricane. That defendants could have obstructed a proceeding by initiating it defies logic. While the decision centers on the legal questions, it does also uproot the conspiracy theory itself. A report from the Justice Department Inspector General cited by Trump's lawyers compels the opposite conclusion from the one Trump offers in his theory. The IG concluded that the FAA operated Crossfire Hurricane for an authorized purpose and with adequate factual predication that had nothing to do with any defendant. What's more, Middlebrooks added later, Plaintiff does not plausibly allege that any White House or Trump organization computer was hacked. This was an allegation Trump and his allies made repeatedly earlier this year, elevating components of legal findings from Durham. Middlebrooks is correct. There is no evidence of any such hacking, much less Trump's broader theory that the Russia probe was to any significant degree downstream from Hillary Clinton.
Dom, let me bring this piece to the conclusion because it gets good. The judge made very clear that he understood Trump's suit for what it obviously is. Here's a quote. At its core, the problem with the plaintiff's amended complaint is that the plaintiff is not attempting to seek redress for any legal harm. Instead, he's seeking to flaunt a 200-page political manifesto outlining his grievances against those who have opposed him. And this court is not the appropriate forum. The appropriate forum, written here by Philip Bump, is cable news or Truthy Social. You can't simply pluck a mushroom off a rotting log and transplant it onto a table and expect it to thrive. It needs the right environment, one in which credulity and fealty are abundant. The real world is simply too inhospitable. You wouldn't like it out here in reality. Don, how's your summer going, as Hillary might ask?
How's the mushroom? Good luck with the appeal, sir.
This show, it's going great. Come back with us. A fine guest, Democratic Party of Wisconsin Chairman Ben Wikler. More of the Friday Big Edition.
This was treason. This was high crimes. This was everything as bad a definition as you want to come up with. This should never be allowed to happen to our country.
From Wisconsin Dells to Dousman, WTTN 1580 AM is essential radio to get you through the pandemic.
Hi, everyone. Listen to the Matt McNeil Show weekday afternoons at 3 p.m. on Devil Radio 92.7 and WTTN 1580 AM. 1 hour every weekday where we'll talk about all sorts of things like politics, especially with what's going on right now, plus other things too. Parenting, the arts, religion, music, beer. If it matters to Wisconsin and Minnesota, we'll talk about it. Phone calls are welcome at 952-946-6205. For 1 hour each day, come see the trained chimp, the Matt McNeil Show, 3 p.m. weekday afternoons right here on Devil Radio 92.7 and WTTN 1580 AM.
10 years ago, we opened with our single location. We had one glass blower, that's me, and a full display of artistically created glass pipes and products. Today, you've helped us grow to 3 successful locations. Ignite Glass and Gifts thanks you for your continued support. We'll be here as long as you need us. Madison's favorite for glass gifts and bait. Ignite Glass and Gifts, Monona Drive, Williamson Street, and Odana Road. 1 solid decade. Man, does that feel good.
I'm Ben Thomas with an AP News Minute. King Charles greeting well-wishers outside Buckingham Palace today. He also made his first address to the nation since taking the throne on the death of his mother.
Queen Elizabeth was a life well lived, a promise with destiny kept, and she is mourned most deeply in her passing. That promise of lifelong service I renew to you all today.
Queen Elizabeth met every American president since Dwight Eisenhower, with the exception of Lyndon Johnson. President Biden met her last year and says he will attend the funeral. Ukrainian forces are claiming new success in their counteroffensive against Russian forces in the east. And on Wall Street today, stocks closed broadly higher, breaking a 3-week losing streak. For the week, the S&P 500 gained 143 points, or 3.6%. The Dow 2.7%, and the Nasdaq was up 4.1%. I'm Ben Thomas.
Attention! This is a special alert for all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an overpriced auto warranty or no warranty coverage at all. Due to the increase of new and used car prices, repair costs, and the price of gas, people are keeping their cars longer than ever, which is why CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on covered auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can save thousands for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. You could save thousands on future auto repairs. Our specialists are standing by for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-581-9027. Vehicle Protection Plan pricing is at an all-time low. Plus, drivers who purchase this coverage today will receive rental car options, free roadside assistance, and free towing. Call 800-581-9027 now for...
Mr. Crude.
Mr. Wikler.
Hello.
You're at a barbecue. How you doing?
I'm at the Democratic National Convention, so I'm going to be
It's a
in
barbecue,
motion
right?
throughout this interview.
Sure.
This is nothing but a party.
Nice, man. Well, thanks so much for joining us. We're back here in about 50 seconds. Your timing is impeccable.
Conservative Justice Patience Rogan Sack. Kelly appointed to the Supreme Court in 2016 by former Governor Scott Walker. He lost his election bid in 2020 by more than 10 points to Jill Karofsky. Calls for increased accountability from the Public Service Commission, which has awarded more than $105 million in federally funded grants to help expand access to high-speed internet since 2020. A new report by the Legislative Audit Bureau found the commission had inadequate policies for awarding and tracking the money. The head of the PSC says in the past 3 years, over 380,000 homes and businesses have received new or improved internet service. You're listening to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM, WTTN, 1580 AM.
Save the $2 on tomorrow's paper. Listen to the Devil's Advocates today.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Friday happy hour, and we are happy to announce we got a fine guest live via Zoom. He is Democratic Party of Wisconsin Chairman Ben Wikler, our friend. Ben, where are you at, man? I see you're traveling. You're not driving, are you?
I'm not driving, I promise. I am on the way back from a series of meetings back to the Democratic National Committee meeting in Washington, D.C., where we saw President Biden yesterday, and Vice President Harris is going to join us.
Well, that
so
was
full of like the energy that we love to see. We saw it in Labor Fest. We saw it last night. It's great.
Well, I was going to say, big shot, you get to meet the president, but Dom and I were at Labor Fest this Monday. Joe Biden came to Milwaukee. Obviously, great to have the president on the ground, but call him Dark Brandon. This is a new, fired up Joe Biden. I think the people are liking it. Don't you, Ben?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can see it in the response of crowds. You can see it in the clips that go viral and get passed around. He's throwing punches. I love the moment when he was like, look, when he was being heckled, he's like, everyone's entitled to be an idiot, which was just a delight. But the punches he landed against Ron Johnson, specifically around Johnson opposing capping the price of insulin, and the president has this thing of like, imagine you're a parent of a kid who has diabetes and you can't afford to give them your medicine. It's just wrong. And Ron Johnson and these other Republicans voted against it. And we're going to come back and we're going to fix it. The attack on Social Security, which Joe Biden lays out in great detail, that Ron Johnson wants Congress every year to vote on whether to cut it, abolish it, change it, despite the fact that we've all been paying in for our whole working lives into the Social Security system. And then the fact that Ron Johnson called January 6th a peaceful protest. Those are 3 strikes against the guy. And the president of the United States has his laser sight, so like his rhetorical full energy mode set to blast this guy out of the Senate.
Ben, at Labor Fest, the biggest boos of the day were received for Ron Johnson, as the president did acknowledge his malfeasant record. And the biggest cheers, although he wasn't in attendance, not in person, Mandela Barnes. He was certainly embraced by the Labor Fest crowd that day. Joe said his name and the crowd went nuts. Let's talk about the Senate race for just a minute. Mandela's been out there working hard and campaigning quite a bit.
He has. And I actually marched with him that morning for a chunk of a big parade. Then he went all the way to Racine next. He was at the Labor Fest parade in Racine, I think at the moment of the presidential thing. And then he was in Madison at the Labor Fest there. He was crisscrossing the state, showing up for working people across Wisconsin, as he's done throughout his life. His core message is he understands, no matter where you live in Wisconsin, no matter the color of your skin or what your background is, Wisconsinites work hard to support their families, and he's going to show up for working families every step of the way. And Ron Johnson is selling out working families from Social Security to opposing union jobs in his hometown of Oshkosh, so he can focus on giving giant tax cuts to himself and his big donors. It's a top versus bottom message that makes a lot of sense for the vast majority of Wisconsinites who actually have to work for a living. And that's a message that I think is especially potent at this moment, and you can tell that Ron Johnson's afraid of it.
Well, there was some rumor in the air that maybe Mandela was avoiding a personal appearance with the president, but no such qualms for Tony Evers. Tony Evers, I guess he introduced President Biden, or nearly introduced Biden. They stood on the stage together, and Tony Evers has got the battle of his young gubernatorial career. This is his first re-election bid. And Tim Michels, all the polling says, is very, very close. Ben, if you could contrast those two candidates for us.
So Tim Michels, the thing about Tim Michels is he ran a full-on 100% ultra mega extremist campaign. Clearly he thinks Trump is, God's greatest gift to planet Earth. And he's taken these positions of like the total ban on abortion. He said directly on camera, the 1849 ban is an exact mirror of my position, and my position is the exact mirror of the 1849 ban. And he was asked, any exceptions for rape or incest? He said, no exceptions for rape or incest. And he said, that's correct. And we now know that he's been funding groups that have been trying to ban contraception. And he's been in this for years. He in 2004, he ran for Senate. He was against marriage equality. He reaffirmed still today he's against marriage equality. He has all these positions. So, whether or not you care that he actually lives in Connecticut and, has really not been a part of the Wisconsin world for a number of years, what he wants to do to Wisconsin is so beyond the pale. He says it would be insanity to support increased funding for public schools. The governor makes no apologies about supporting public education in our state. Most Wisconsinites, unlike the Michels family, send their kids to public schools in the state of Wisconsin. I just think he's out of step with Wisconsin values. And Governor Evers, however you might feel about his policies, that he's someone who gets up every day trying to do the right thing for our state. He's the governor, but he's a regular guy. He's somebody that is like someone that all of us know. And when he goes to work, he thinks about like, how do I make sure the roads get paved and we bring class sizes down and fund schools, and how do we get broadband to farms and make sure small businesses stay open. These like bread and butter things that are almost non-political or shouldn't be political. That's what he spends his time on. It's just doing the right thing for folks. And that is so far from the way that Tim Michels has swung his political axe to the furthest extreme to the right-wing swamps. And that to me is the core contrast in that race.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. That is Ben Wikler. He's the chair of the Democratic Party of the state of Wisconsin. Ben, thanks for coming around. Great to see you again. Michael's certainly donating money to these anti-LGBTQ, anti-abortion, anti-contraception organizations, but he's trying to spin this as somehow what people are criticizing him for giving to charity and cancer research. What's your take on the position and the style and the strategy of these Republicans kind of just, twisting what the criticism is? It's very mega. Do you think it's getting any traction?
Look, I'd be delighted for Tim Michels to just give his money to churches and to cancer research organizations. Not a problem. That would be great. Just stop funding the people who are trying to track down and individually stock abortion patients and who are trying to ban access to in vitro fertilization. I mean, he's funding some of the most extreme stuff. It's right there in his tax records. And now he's trying to play the victim card. And he literally went on the radio and said people should get out their torches and pitchforks to march on the media for just reporting what he himself has disclosed. This is all a political strategy for him. It's a kind of game to try to rally people to his side. I think he wants to take a page from like Brian Hagedorn, who he thinks did this strategy. But the thing about Tim Michels is the stuff he's funded is just indefensible. Not with all his donations, but with a chunk of them. They reflect what he's been trying to push on our state and what he would do as governor. And that is completely legitimate grounds. It's something that people should be paying attention to. What do you do when people aren't looking? That tells you a lot about what you're going to do when you're in power. We saw what he would do to win the primary. He refused to say that he would even certify the election if Trump lost in 2024. And now it turns out he's been pouring money into the hands of people who want to take positions that no politician could look at a voter straight in the eye and actually admit to supporting. But that's what Tim Michels has been doing.
Ben, I got two more questions for you before I kick it back to Crudy. Tony Evers, the selling point for Tony Evers, obviously playing a lot of defense right now, given the political circumstances in the state of Wisconsin with the gerrymandering and whatnot, but he's been a pivotal role in keeping some of this really bad legislation from becoming law. But besides that, what's the selling point for Tony Evers as you would describe it, Ben?
When Tony Evers ran for governor, he said, I'm going to fix the damn roads. I'm going to invest in our schools. I'm going to stop the attacks on people with pre-existing conditions. And by the way, I'm going to make sure we get a 10% middle class income tax cut. Well, what has he done? He's paved enough roads to drive from Wisconsin to Tim Michael's house in Connecticut and back twice. He has pulled us out arms. We have a vaccination rate in our state. He signed 15% middle class tax cuts into law, and he's gotten our schools back in the top 10. They dropped to number 18 under Scott Walker after the massive cuts in public services under the Walker administration. So he's done everything he promised to do. And then on top of that, we had this COVID pandemic, and he recognized the danger, but he got this federal money, and he decided to pour it into ensuring that small businesses could not only stay open, but thrive. And 4,200 small businesses on main streets across Wisconsin have either opened their doors or expanded their operations. There are city blocks in small and medium towns around this. They got this from a governor who actually believes in people. And that kind of investment, the investment in rural broadband, getting 300,000 homes and businesses connections, he actually just shows up and delivers and does the right thing, what any of us would want our governor to do. That's what you get with Tony Evers.
Ben, Republican Assembly Speaker Robin Vos squeaked through his primary, but apparently his primary opponent will now engage in a write-in campaign. And now a Democrat has stepped up in that race, also will start a write-in campaign. Joel Jacobson, who's ran as a Dem before in that district. Ben, does the party take a position on the write-in campaigns? Do you support Joel Jacobson?
Anyone trying to decide whether to vote for Adam Steen, Robin Vos, or Joel Jacobson, obviously vote for Joel Jacobson. I mean, Robin Vos has been feeding an alligator in his bathtub. This alligator of the Gableman kind of conspiracy theory overturned the 2020 election. Well, guess what? That alligator is now big enough to crawl out of the bathtub and try to eat its creator. It's such profound, appalling mismanagement of political power, let alone the $1.3 million in taxpayer funds that Robin Vos shoveled into the Gableman investigation, as far as I can tell, basically to ward off what happened anyway, which is for Trump to support someone running against him in a primary. Adam Steen, he like Tim Michaels' grantees, supports banning contraception. Neither of those guys should be anywhere near the state legislature.
Ben, when Donald Trump comes to town, and he did endorse Adam Steen, and so did Gableman from the Trump rally, and obviously it was all there to apparently pump up Michaels and helped him get through the primary. But if Donald Trump's in the state of Wisconsin and Donald Trump inserts himself in the midterms, Ben, that's got to be a good place for the Democratic Party to be. Strategically, am I right about that? We want Donald Trump on the midterm ballot, do we not?
Look, Donald Trump is not a popular man in the state of Wisconsin.
Come on back, Ben.
Chaos and destruction where he goes. But in a political sense, am I losing my connection?
No, you're back. You're back. All
right, I'm here.
I was willing you back on.
You're saying come on back.
Ben, I tell you what, let me ask you one more, and we'll try to make it coherent. I got one more question for you, Ben. Dan Kelly, who was a appointee of Scott Walker to the Wisconsin Supreme Court, obviously he lost that position. He ran for the court, did not win, but he has made his announcement for the spring 2023 election. We've got Everett Mitchell and Janet Protasewicz, I believe is how you pronounce her name, Judge Janet. We've got two quote-unquote liberal contenders. We've got a clearly conservative contender. Ben, obviously we need a primary to play out next February, but will the Democratic Party be involved in that judicial race, the Supreme Court race in the spring?
In the general election for the spring, 100%, because what we know about Dan Kelly is that he is there to lock in permanent Republican power, the law, the Constitution be damned. I mean, there was a reason that Donald Trump endorsed him in January of 2020, why he was talking about voting for Dan Kelly during his COVID press conferences from the White House. It's because he thinks Dan Kelly is going to throw the election to him. And we saw in 2020 that Dan Kelly is beatable and must be beaten. This election will determine whether we have an ultra mega extremist state Supreme Court going forward, or whether there's a majority that actually believes in the Constitution and the rule of law. And Frank, I, for one, would welcome having a state Supreme Court in the state of Wisconsin that actually cares what the law says instead of what right-wing politicians want them to do.
We got to let you go. I know you're in D.C. and you got to get back to the DNC, but has Dobbs changed the entire complexion of the midterm elections? I can give you like 30 seconds, Ben.
Absolutely. People are infuriated because freedoms that everyone grew up thinking were basically set in stone here are being ripped away. And there's a gap. 18% more women have registered to vote since the Dobbs decision than men. You can see a level of fury that is going to turn into a political chickens coming home to roost for a Republican Party that has taken the most extreme, most horrific position and then refused to do anything about a pre-Civil War ban on abortion.
Ben Wikler, our fine guest,
need to be held
Democratic Party
this.
Wisconsin
And you
chair.
When you talk to voters.
Ben, thanks for joining us, man. Sorry about the dropout. We'll catch up real soon, I suspect. More Devils on the other side.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks so much,
folks. Let's get to work.
You let him try violin because you love him. And if you love him,
Thanks so much, Ben.
enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out
Thanks.
more.
Sorry about the connection there.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine. Thanks again.
National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Okay, good.
Hey guys,
All
it's
right,
me,
appreciate it.
Stella Gomez,
Thanks for
filling
having
in
me
for
on.
Smokey Bear because he's got
Yeah.
more to say than just.
Yeah, we're all done. Right? We're all done. Yeah.
Like, if you're outside enjoying a barbecue, don't let a hamburger distract you from fire safety. Make sure you aren't dumping your hot coals or ashes onto the ground because that could start a wildfire. So take wildfire prevention seriously and let's save the world one day at a time. Juntos con Smokey Bear, podemos hacerlo. Go to smokeybear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
Jake from Milwaukee, you get the last word this hour.
Okay, well, Trump is totally innocent. But it's obvious that George Soros, Nancy Pelosi, BLM with Antifa, and then Hillary's emails, Hunter Biden's laptop, gas, high, Afghanistan, cut and run. I rest my case, Truth.
What about Benghazi, Jake? You forgot Benghazi.
I forgot Benghazi. I'm sorry. And Benghazi, I rest my case.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstad at the Monaco Brewing Company, and I am proud to introduce you to Choice, our new pink grapefruit-flavored hard seltzer. Choice was made in collaboration with Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin, and 5% of the proceeds from every can goes to support them and their fight for reproductive freedom. Choice Hard Seltzer tastes great and comes in at only 105 calories per can. Go to our website, MonacoBrewingCompany.com, to find where you can buy Choice Hard Seltzer.
Here's today's STEM tip. Don't throw out that old plastic bottle. Repurpose it by turning it into an awesome terrarium. Just fill it with sand, pebbles, soil, and your favorite plant. It'll grow sealed right in its own ecosystem. Learn more at She Can STEM. A message from the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates. Rock and roll political commentary in a top 40 world.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines always open for your Friday grievance at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, want to thank our most recent guest, a fun one, Ben Wikler, Democratic Party chair. He was zooming in from D.C., apparently taking a van ride, playing a little video freeze tag with us there, Dom. But we appreciate when Ben comes around. We'll have him back again real soon, I suspect. You can all be a part of this big Friday show with the airing of the grievances and the such at the 844-967-2789. Dom, I believe, with the kickoff of the NFL season and the post-Labor Day and the kids going back to school, I feel like we're in the political silly season.
No,
It's
we're
official.
there, no doubt. Yeah,
Put away your white pants, get out your silly pants. We're in the political silly season. We met those guys, right? They were wearing their silly pants on Monday at the Biden rally. Or were they even wearing pants? That QAnon shaman guy.
The QAnon shaman, the Trumpsters.
I'm not clear if he had pants on, Dom.
I think they had some, flag
overalls,
patterned plants.
Patriotic,
pants, yes, of course.
Pants,
very,
Dom.
Very patriotic. All with the bullhorn. No, certainly appreciate Ben coming around. And, some of the news I'm seeing, Kurt, is that the donors for the Republicans are starting to dry up a little bit. I've seen headlines of Republicans complaining that they can't raise money. Politico has an article out saying that the donor pool is unexpectedly shrinking. And I wonder if how much of an impact that is going to be, the money game, but certainly the trajectory that the Democrats have been on, led by, frankly, Joe Biden, man. Dark Brandon coming out and lighting people up. And you couldn't tell if you watched the NBC News, but you saw Chucky today. Brandon coming out and lighting people up and letting them know where they stand. That, along with the Roe v. Wade and just the angst that people are feeling. And of course, the investigation into Trump and the whole Trump world seemingly starting to, fray at the edges, given the legal headwinds they're facing on multiple fronts. Motivation for Dems is really high right now, and Ben Wikler is a great party chair. He's been really good at raising the money over the last couple of cycles, so we always appreciate it when Ben comes around.
Dom, another Friday grievance, perhaps on behalf of U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin. There will be a move to codify same-sex marriage, and Ron Johnson suddenly is a no in the form of the current bill. Apparently he's found something to dislike about the bill. A couple of senators, Tammy Baldwin and Susan Collins, wrote an op-ed at the Washington Post on Tuesday, earlier this week. I'm going to read sort of a re-encapsulation, in part, an opinion piece about these Republicans running down a bad path, Dom. Republicans are in an electoral double bind. So Senators Tammy Baldwin, Dem from Wisconsin, and Susan Collins, Republican from Maine, called on their colleagues to pass new protections for same-sex marriage by arguing in a Washington Post op-ed on Tuesday that such legislation is bipartisan, after arguing that a majority of Democrats, Republicans, and independents support same-sex marriage. The two note that the legislation has already passed through the Democrat-led House with strong bipartisan support. The goal of these two senators isn't mysterious. Passing the bill through the Senate requires getting past the filibuster, right, Dom? That evil filibuster. That, in turn, means convincing 10 Republicans to join the slim 50-vote Democratic majority in the Senate to back the bill. Their op-ed was about persuading wary Republicans that it's safe and, in fact, savvy to back this politically popular view. But to call the bipartisan support for the same-sex marriage strong is, at best, political embroidery. Same-sex marriage has strong Democratic support. In fact, it's unanimous, with all 220 House Democrats backing the bill, and the expectation that all 50 Democrats in the Senate will. But only 22% of House Republicans were willing to vote for same-sex marriage. Digging into the numbers, things look even worse on the GOP side. As an analysis from the poll shows, a significant number of those Republicans who did support the bill are retiring or represent districts in Democrat sites in the midterms. See what I'm saying, Dom? Like, they're making a little political triangulation against same-sex marriage, except those that feel very vulnerable. A little bit more here. That doesn't mean it's impossible for the bill to pass through the Senate. To be clear, if just 20% of Republican senators vote for the bill, that's enough to drag it across the finish line. It's still not clear if that will happen, however. A few Republican senators have publicly indicated support, but many are being tight-lipped about where they stand. And Tammy Baldwin told reporters that she expects a vote on the bill during the week of September 19th. But things took a dim turn this week when Baldwin's fellow Wisconsin Republican senator, your friend and mine, right, Dom? Republican Ron Johnson declared that he had no intention of voting for the bill, arguing that the Supreme Court was wrong to legalize same-sex marriage in the first place. Rojo was reportedly one of the senators who LGBTQ rights advocates had hoped to get on board. He's up for re-election in a swing state this year and had previously been coy about his position, leaving hope that he would attempt to appeal to moderates by backing the bill. This loss is a bad blow for those hoping to pass the bill. Could you see them coming up one Republican senator short, Dom? And of course, Rojo eventually will be against this bill. He's always a a no, right? Any Democratic thing, anything that advances
this is a guy like
human
Ron
rights.
Johnson who says this is never going to be an issue, right? It's not an issue. It's not going to come up. I mean, it's not like Roe v. Wade. But then you see how they come out and at least articulate they will eventually vote on this bill. Well, of course, that's problematic. That's why Democrats are bringing this bill up for a vote, because you guys in your Supreme Court are going to try to find some way, some reason, some way, somehow, religious liberty to try and overturn it.
Dominic, the Republican opposition to abortion rights is hurting them in the polls already.
Right.
Adding their opposition to same-sex marriage to the pile will only reinforce the Democrats' message. Republicans are right-wing radicals who are wildly out of step with the mainstream on social issues. But even if the LGBTQ advocates manage to cobble together 10 votes for this bill, that shouldn't be taken as serious evidence that Republicans have become more moderate on this issue. It's not just that the vast majority of Republican politicians oppose same-sex marriage. The attacks on LGBTQ rights have only been escalating in GOP circles in the past couple of years. Across the country, Republicans are passing laws to ban books and to censor teachers for acknowledging the existence of LGBTQ people. Policies to bar gender nonconforming kids from playing sports and to punish families for supporting LGBTQ kids have also been enacted. In Texas, the Republican Party platform declared that homosexuality is an abnormal lifestyle choice. Senator Rick Scott of Florida, the head of the National Republican Senatorial Committee, released an 11-point blueprint for the GOP this year, which stated that, quote, traditional family, I'm quoting here, is God's design for humanity. And it asserted that a Bible quote about the male and female he created them should be the guide for government policies. Come back, more devil's advocates will guide you through this crazy world we live in. The Happier Happy Hour is.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
Oh, that really hits the spot.
So we get to put away the Senator Sanders impersonation for a little while?
I'm not saying that he's gone for good, but stopping out here at the Atomic Koi in Fitchburg is really helping the Plastered for Progress agenda.
Yeah, the Koi's a great spot. It's got great vibes, and the patio is perfect for spring.
I'm staying here.
They do have operating hours, Brian.
Time has no meaning here. That's what makes the Koi atomic.
Does that mean that it's always patio season at the Atomic Koi?
Even if the patio's closed.
Suck down drinks so we don't have to suck.
Okay.
Listen to the Empowered Caregiver Show each Thursday night at 7 p.m. with hosts Liza Hellenbrand and Kristen Voss.
Right here on WAUK 540 AM, the Shaw 101 FM, and the Devil Radio app.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus, W224 EG Madison, always streaming on the Devil.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. Britain's King Charles III greeted well-wishers outside Buckingham Palace today. He also made his first speech to the nation as the new monarch.
With feelings of profound sorrow.
In a speech televised to the nation and streamed at St. Paul's Cathedral during a service of remembrance to the Queen, the King also vowed to dedicate the rest of his life to serving the nation the way his mother had done before him.
I too now solemnly pledge myself, throughout the remaining time God grants me, to uphold the constitutional principles at the heart of our nation.
The King acknowledged the support of who he called his darling wife, and also conveyed his feelings towards his youngest son.
I want also to express my love for Harry and Meghan.
At the end of his speech, the new monarch spoke almost intimately to his mother.
To my darling Mama.
In a public and final goodbye.
As you begin your last great journey, to join my dear late Papa, I want simply to say this. Thank you.
Karen Chamas, London.
Ukrainian forces are claiming new success in their counteroffensive against Russian forces in the east of the country. Meanwhile, International Atomic Energy Agency Chief Rafael Grossi says
shelling has caused a complete blackout in Energodar and compromised the safety operation of the nearby Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant.
He says that significantly increased the risk of a nuclear accident.
The shelling around Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant must stop, and a nuclear safety and security protection zone agreed immediately. A nuclear power plant can never be a pawn of war.
On Wall Street, stocks broke a 3-week losing streak. For the week, the S&P 500 gained 3.6%, the Dow 2.7%, and the Nasdaq 4.1%. This is AP News.
Attention! This is a special alert for all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an overpriced auto warranty or no warranty coverage at all. Due to the increase of new and used car prices, repair costs, and the price of gas, people are keeping their cars longer than ever, which is why CarShield is announcing a low-cost, month-to-month vehicle protection plan to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on covered auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can save thousands for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. You could save thousands on future auto repairs. Our specialists are standing by for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-581-9027. Vehicle Protection Plan pricing is at an all-time low. Plus, drivers who purchase this coverage today will receive rental car options, free roadside assistance, and free towing. Call 800-581-9027 now for your free quick quote. That's 800-581-9027. What do you have to lose? Call 800-581-9027. Again, 800-581-9027.
Here we are, the young contender, scrappy, controversial, has an impressive reach. Devil Radio 92.7.
Local guy Jason Hafman here. If you want a business in the Madison area, I want to talk to you about why you should work with Devil Radio. I've been a champion for local businesses for nearly a decade, and I'm proud to be a part of the Devil Radio team. With a focus on community and local business, we create customized promotional pieces that are effective and represent our ad partners. And we connect them with Devil Radio's passionate, loyal, and engaged listeners. So join us today. Call 608-819-TALK, and let's work together to build business and community.
If you think you need a home inspection, you probably do. Hi, I'm Todd Osborne of Orion Inspections. And buyers, sellers, and even flippers, I'm talking to you. Knowledge is power when it comes to real estate transactions. You'll get an image-packed, searchable, digital, printable report of the condition of the house, things to keep an eye on, any safety issues or defects, and the knowledge to make smart, informed decisions. Your instinct is telling you to get an inspection, and instincts are usually right. Learn more or schedule today at orioninspections.com.
Darcy Haber, I hear you have solar panels on your office building. Since when are real estate brokers so concerned about the environment?
True, you should know that at Solidarity Realty, we provide outstanding real estate service while adhering to our core progressive values. Environmental sustainability is a big part of that.
So you really walk your talk, huh?
Yeah, I even walk to work.
Come on, always?
Well, sometimes I bike, and if I have an appointment across town, I use my solar panels to charge my plug-in.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, and they're honest. Check them out at solidarityrealty.com.
It could be, it might be, it is Devil Radio 92.7.
For Civic Media, I'm Jane Matnier with your headlines. Canada's Enbridge Energy can continue operating a contested pipeline through the tribal lands of the Bad River Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa, while the company works to reroute that line. This week, Judge William Connolly ruled Enbridge can keep operating the nearly 70-year-old pipeline, but must work to address concerns that erosion could cause a spill in the Bad River. A 2010 spill from a different Enbridge pipeline on Michigan's Kalamazoo River took years and over $1 billion to clean up. Enbridge has proposed a 41.2-mile reroute of the 645-mile-long pipeline. If approved, construction for that would happen in Ashland and Iron counties. And the Madison Veterans Hospital has received the VA's Veterans Health Administration Overall Best Experience Award. You're listening to Devil Radio, 92.7 FM, WTTN, 1580 AM.
Devil Radio programming is produced live in the Solidarity Realty studios. Find them at solidarityrealty.com. Solidarity Realty. There is an alternative.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Friday edition, airing of the Grievances. Yours could be next. We got Evan here in the world headquarters, lightly screening the calls. 844-967-2789. AM 950 listeners joining us, KTNF, welcome, Minneapolis. Welcome to our friends that listen down in Chicago, WCPT 820 AM land. And welcome to the NFC North, where the Packers, until someone does something about it, well, we still own both your asses.
Hey, out of here didn't mention Detroit anywhere, man. What about my Lions?
Oh, come on, man. You guys don't even, you don't
the
merit
world champion Detroit Rams. I mean,
you don't merit
it's our
trash
quarterback, man.
talk.
Come on.
If you guys win a couple games, then I'll trash talk your team. I mean, I'm not even sure who the starter is for the Minnesota Vikings. They were still trading for quarterbacks earlier this week. Who's Nick Mullins? Who's that guy? Is he the starter?
Who?
I'm not sure who's starting. Is it Kirk Cousins? The sub guy? Is it Kirk Cousins?
Well, that's who it was last year, right? He's getting paid, so he better.
He's been good. Yes.
Yeah.
Of course, the immunized Aaron Rodgers.
Immunized?
Well, that's what he told us. That's what he told the media. He was immunized last year. Dom, I took a few issues with the fact that he missed part of the regular season due to the fact he had COVID-19, not the fact he had contracted it, the fact he had lied to us in the media.
Well, misled. You know, he was immunized. He took some, vitamin C and some shrooms down in South America or something, right? I mean,
is that what immunizes you?
Yeah.
The ayahuasca. Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, we do have one of the more interesting starting quarterbacks in the NFL. You know, he's a little befuddling to the home folks as liberals, you know. You want to cheer for the Packers. You want to just be a root for the home team guy. But when Aaron Rodgers starts throwing some of his stuff out there, it's like, oh, man, shut up. Just please.
Are you telling
just
Rodgers
shut
to
up and dribble?
play?
Just shut up and pass, Aaron. Can't wait till we play up in a market where he might catch us by mistake someday. And just flipping through the dial. Here's the civic media output of Tom and Crude driving to the stadium for a Monday night game or something. Here's us talking trash. But having said all that, you know, it's like I can pick on my brother, but you can't.
You're right. Yes.
Bears fans, you guys don't even bother. Vikings fans, if you'd like to talk a little trash because you're first on our Wrecking Crew schedule, we'll be 1-0 by Sunday night.
No, the Bears, is that still Rex Grossman? I mean, who's the quarterback of the Bears now?
That's interesting. I was invited to join a fantasy football league, and Dom, you know, business, radio, super coolness, it all keeps me quite busy. I have declined so far to join anybody's fantasy football teams or leagues, so therefore I haven't really been doing the research, like who's starting for who. I mean, if you got Aaron Rodgers as your QB, you're in pretty good. You're in
pretty decent shape, yes.
Yes, and who's Detroit's starter?
No, I don't even know.
I thought you were a fan.
It's not Stafford anymore, I can tell you that.
No, everybody knows that. I did watch some of that game last night. You know, our friend Don Brown, who will be doing the call tonight in Waukesha on the Waukesha South High School football games, the Black Shirts. Don Brown's a big Buffalo guy. So the NFL kickoff last night, I watched some of that. Josh Allen looked awfully good.
Yes, he did.
My son, who is apparently in a fantasy league, cheering for former Viking Stephon Diggs, right? Didn't he used to be a Viking? Didn't Diggs start his career with the Vikings?
Maybe.
Someone, anyone, Bueller?
Bueller, Vikings.
Where
it's been come on, man. Last time I was in fantasy football was with you, Crudy, at lacrosse, and I think I chose Barry Sanders as my running back and Hansen as my kicker.
I remember.
It's been a while, dude.
I had Emmitt Smith that year, and I think that was like his 21 touchdown year. That was before the shrooms really kicked in.
Yeah.
So if you want to talk politics, air a grievance, talk some trash about the Vikings or the Bears or any other NFL Central team, excepting the Packers, man. You can't Can't talk trash about the home team. Sorry. Only we can talk trash about the home team. 844-967-2789. Wisco Paul, welcome back. What do you got, man?
Hey, Paulie.
Hey, happy Friday to you boys. And yeah, football for the weekend. I'm happy it's back, Badgers and Packers, and hopefully they both win, especially the Packers, because playing up in that dome is not the easiest thing in the world. So with that, I do have a grievance today, and it is against our Senator, Rojo, Ron Johnson, whatever you want to call him.
I was going to say, what do you got against Tammy Baldwin?
The other guy.
Tammy's great, but I got a grievance against Rojo, and that is the ads that is airing about Mandela Barnes, and it's in the gutter. And if you have to reach that low to win an election, then
is it specifically, Wisco, let me interrupt, because there are Senate campaign committee ads that are running, and in fact,
and third-party groups.
That's one of the third-party groups. They're running anti-Mandela ads, actually on WFHR, part of our network. I've heard some of those ads. I don't yet own that station. We're just operating under a contract, so they can do what they want, except what ads they want. But my friend Don Brown, and this year, our WAUK, we will broadcast the first anniversary of the Christmas parade since the tragedy of last year. And there is a slight update in that case. The defendant has withdrawn his pleading of insanity. He's going to go to trial, Wisco. We're going to broadcast that parade this year. We are literally right on the parade route. We'll be part of that. And Don Brown will probably do the coverage. And Don was mad as hell because he said, I forget, maybe watching that football game last night. And he said, Ron Johnson's running ads basically blaming Mandela Barnes for the tragedy in Waukesha. Like it's a direct line. He supports bail reform. Well, guess what? So do a lot of Republicans. Guys like Grover Norquist came to the state of Wisconsin proposing things like bail reform because it's fiscally prudent, Paul. Cost a lot of money to hold a guy in jail because he can't afford to get out of jail. But we, the taxpayers, have to pay his room and board and care and maintenance and observation and whatever while he's in jail, Paul. So anyways, it's a ridiculous ad. Is that the one you mean where Rojo's basically casting the Waukesha Christmas parade at Mandela's lap?
Well, it's only one of them. And then if you YouTube, which I do quite often, they're blaming there's nothing they're not blaming, but it's probably third-party money. But Mandela Barnes single-handedly burns down Kenosha, but that's what he's done.
Right, dude.
Well, here's the good thing, Wisco. If you go to YouTube, you're a lot like U.S. Senator Ron Johnson. That's where he does most of his medical research.
Nice. 844-967-2789. We talked a little bit in the last hour about Rojo and him and Hahn about whether or not he supports, same-sex marriage.
He found a reason to be against it.
Well, he did, but there's a couple of reasons. He said he wouldn't support it in the current state, according to the Washington Post. And this comes, 2 months after he issued a statement saying he saw no reason to oppose it. Well, you go down a little bit further into this Washington Post article, they quote Rojo, and this is what I want to get out there as part of my grievance as it pertains to Rojo on this particular topic. Here's what he said. You have to understand the process here. You're walking down the subway in the Capitol, and all of a sudden you get descended upon by national press, Johnson told an audience member at the September 1st meeting. You just get hounded on this crap, right? So just to get them off my back, I wrote a press release. I said I always supported civil unions, never felt that we needed to do anything other than that. But then the Supreme Court ruled on abortion, and I just considered the matter settled. So a couple of takeaways from that. Number one, the thought of LGBTQ people marrying, gay people marriage, gay marriage, the thought of that, according to Rojo here, it's crap. To ponder gay marriage is crap. To support it, to have the discussion, to engage in what? In your job? Because this is legislation, sir. you call it crap. And then the other side of that, what? He put out a press release and lied to everybody because he just wanted to get the press off his back. That's the senator right now. That's the guy who you're talking about, Paul.
No, I'm on the phone right now. I can't take your questions, Manu Raju.
That guy.
I'm very
No, you're
busy.
not, sir. I can see your phone. I mean, he is just getting worse and worse and worse, just like Trump. When you see the end and you see the walls closing, and perhaps he doesn't have the legal exposure Trump does, perhaps, but he certainly feels the walls closing in on him.
Well, Dominic, I would point out the January 6th committee did make a special point. Singularly, he was the first U.S. senator named in regards to the insurrectionist actions, talking about Ron Johnson from Wisconsin. And Dom, he tries to defend his involvement in handing off the fake electors from Michigan and Wisconsin, or at least his endeavor to do so, to the vice president the day of the insurrection by saying, well, I was only involved for virtual seconds. But he's already admitted to at least 2 or 3 texts back and forth with staffers from the vice president's office. It was only there saying, no, we don't want it, that dissuaded Rojo from delivering the fraudulent Trump electors.
To carrying through on his portion, his conspiracy part, his play, his spoke in the wheel of the insurrection. Yeah. I got it.
Dominic, just for the record, Justin Fields, how could we forget the young Bears quarterback, Justin Fields? I did say recently on this fine program, I said the Bears, they still suck. And my friend Matt that works down at WCPT, operations manager down there, said, sadly, that's still true. So WCPT 820 AM listeners, good luck this weekend. Viking listeners, better luck next week. But the Packers, we're going to win the NFC North. Central? North? I forget. Hell, we're going to win the Super Bowl.
Just claim it, baby.
Come back. More Devil's Advocates, greatest football team and radio show ever.
You are the worst human being I have ever met.
This isn't very nice, is it?
Nobody cares.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidacy. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
The Devil's Advocates.
I am not Alex Jones.
But you play him on the radio.
And we are back. Welcome to the Devil's Advocates radio show. If you don't call us right down this last segment at 844-967-2789, you're a filthy communist and you are supporting the enemy.
That's a reasonable impersonation of Alex.
All right.
But,
I got to work on it.
You lack the proper intensity. It's got to be more angry.
I need to be a little bit closer to a heart attack.
Check out the entire podcast library at darnwi.com.
To protect her home and family in a disaster, Karen was willing to wade through water, mud, and insurance paperwork.
Yeah, I can do this.
You go, Karen! By simply understanding and updating what her insurance covers and doesn't cover now, she'll be better prepared no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates. So relevant, they have 1 foot in tomorrow.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Make sure you check us out on the socials on Facebook at the Devil's Advocates Radio, on Twitter at Devil Radio. Of course, the phone lines for Friday Grievances, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, also want to point out my beloved Badgers kick off tomorrow afternoon at 2:30 p.m. Central Time. Washington State Cougars at UW at Madison. And if you're a fan of the Badgers, and who amongst us is not, suck it, Gopher fans. But that will play out on stream, our stream, the Civic Media stream. If you are geocoded within a certain amount of distance from WFHR, you can listen to it on the stream tomorrow. So listen to our stream. Tell Alexa, play WFHR on TuneIn, and you can listen to the Badger game there. We're also going to launch another Badger market for next week's big game against New Mexico State. That will play out next Saturday, September 17th, 2:30 p.m. in Richland Center. Dom, that'll be our newest edition. That'll start, while you're in Europe. One more thought. Ohio State, September 24th. Talking about smack talk, I'll be talking trash right up until the Badgers probably lose that game. 844-967-2789 from the Smack Talk Hall of Fame. It's CJ. How you doing today, CJ?
Hey, CJ.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Missed you at the big Biden event. Although I saw a couple of your colleagues at the after party at the Tiki Bar. A couple QAnon guys were down there, CJ. But how you doing, man? How was your week?
Wow. Pretty good. But, my grievance is easy. I wish you'd tell facts about Ron Johnson. He's not for defund the police. And,
who said he was? He's not for defund the police, but he certainly did not protect the Capitol Police. He basically called those that would assault them tourists, CJ. Yeah, many times.
Well,
We've got it's on tape.
There and they took selfies with the statues, not tore them down like your party does.
Except, come on, man. Nobody from the Democratic Party ever did an insurrectionist coup action against the U.S. Capitol or the federal government, CJ. That's kind of a one-party thing. That was the grand old MAGA party.
No, but your party destroyed State Street and Kenosha. And
I'm still not clear that any Democrats were out there. I didn't see Ben Wikler out there marching, man. That wasn't any sort of Democratic. You might have some agitators
Mandela
that
Barnes
joined
sure
in.
Is for that, isn't he? Mandela Barnes sure is for it, isn't he? And that's the fact. That's the ads that are run.
Yeah, the ads that are run, CJ. So you believe all the ads? Is that what you're telling me? If an ad says it, it must be true, CJ.
CJ, you probably have great looking hair.
Mandela Barnes, it's his facts, not Ron Johnson.
So clarify whatever fact you're trying to express, CJ, because you're not being clear.
Well, how about the Mike?
That's an opinion.
Was on your guest that was on a while back and said once people get to know Mandela, he might have some issues. Well, duh, because the fact that guy is scary for this.
Could you name the guest of mine that actually said that, CJ? I don't recall any of my guests saying that.
Your Marquette guest, the one that does the polls that you had on about a week or two ago.
Well, his name is Charles Franklin. He comes on with frequency, and you as a frequent flyer, I thought would know that, CJ. But what they effectively said is that Mandela Barnes is far more popular in the favorability and unfavorability than U.S. Senator Ron Johnson. But more people here in the state of Wisconsin are aware of Ron, and to know Ron is to not like Ron. But if more people got to know Mandela, they may come to some negative conclusion about him, like they've already done about U.S. Senator Ron Johnson.
There's a lot of people in the polling who made the position that they don't know enough about Mandela to make a determination.
But amongst those that know him, they actually like him, unlike U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, who is desperately underwater in the polling currently.
And not doing himself any favors by calling, gay marriage crap and, purposefully lying in a press release to avoid the media, CJ. So good luck with, negating loving marriage, people wanting to get married. Good luck with taking away women's rights to determine what to do with their own bodies, CJ. That's what Ron Johnson is, man. That's who he is. This is a guy who pretended to be on the phone so he wouldn't have to answer some very direct and simple questions about his involvement in the insurrection, CJ. And this is, and you can say what you want about his opponent, but I'd sure like to hear what you have to say or what Republicans have to say or conservatives have to say about your guy, Ron Johnson. He just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And literally at this point, anybody is better than Ron Johnson. And Mandela Barnes is a solid dude. He's a good cat. He's been doing this a long time. He's out there in the community. He's been doing this, man. We've met him years ago as a young legislator. He earned his way up, and I would suggest it was Mandela Barnes, along with, the legal weed referendums that got Tony Evers into office to stop some of this terrible legislation that people like you, CJ, want to see, thrown down upon the Wisconsin citizens, man. And we don't want that. The majority of people don't believe in the same things that you, perhaps, and certainly Ron Johnson and Robin Vos and Donald Trump and all the rest of these Republicans agree. No abortion, no exception for rape or incest. Republican Michael's running for governor. Yeah, I'm down with 1847. That's a perfect reflection of my beliefs, and I believe that. That is not a winning message, CJ. You don't wonder why they're not running on it.
Dominic, when I was a young man, I used to go to Badger games here in Madison at Camp Randall Stadium. Still like to. And I'm not advocating for violence per se, but there was a custom. The other team's cheerleaders used to come and scoop up Bucky Badger, and let's just say they would spread his legs wide and they would introduce Bucky Badger to the goalpost. They'd run him in there. Right. CJ, I hope I see you at a football game someday, because me and my friends are going to introduce you to the South End goalpost. Come back. We're going to introduce you to our good friend Pat Krietlow from the Up North News and the morning show on WXCO Bull Falls Radio. Up North News also playing out in Richland Center and worldwide soon. Come back. Pat Krietlow, our guest next.
Shame on you.
Shame. 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 Shame.
Stay informed with progressive news and talk on WTTN 1580 AM, Wisconsin's home for Devil Radio.
Salvatore's Tomato Pies, home of Madison's best farm-to-table pizza, is hiring. We are seeking line cooks, prep cooks, dishwashers, pizza makers, bartenders, servers, delivery drivers, and hosts. Sal's offers great pay, free shift meals, paid time off, and health insurance available for those working 30 hours a week. Students are welcome too. Positions available at all locations, Madison, Monona, and Sun Prairie. Stop into any location for an immediate interview or apply online at salvatorestomatopies.com.
At Chad's Design Build, we care deeply about the quality of the services that we provide to our clients. An excellent remodeling experience requires communication, honesty, accuracy, and a detailed plan, all of which helps to create a satisfied client. And these commitments spell our name. To learn more about the Chad's remodeling experience, go to chadsdesignbuild.com. Building a better world, one remodeled home at a time, and celebrating 30 years of excellence.
I'm Ben Thomas with an AP News Minute. Gun salutes across the United Kingdom today. 96 shots, one for each year Queen Elizabeth II lived. In his first address to the nation as king, Charles III said he would carry on his mother's promise of lifelong service.
Throughout her life, Her Majesty the Queen, my beloved mother, was an inspiration, an example to me and to all my family. And we owe her the most heartfelt debt any family could owe to their mother, for her love, affection, guidance, understanding, and example.
On Ukraine, International Atomic Energy Agency Chief Rafael Grossi warns continued shelling has increased the risk of an accident at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant and must stop.
The consequences of such action are far too grave.
Stocks higher again on Wall Street, closing out a week of gains. I'm Ben.
Attention! This is a special alert for all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an overpriced auto warranty or no warranty coverage at all. Due to the increase of new and used car prices, repair costs, and the price of gas, People are keeping their cars longer than ever, which is why CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on covered auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can save thousands for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. You could save thousands on future auto repairs. Our specialists are standing by for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-581-9027. Vehicle Protection Plan pricing is at an all-time low. Plus, drivers who purchase this coverage today will receive rental car options, free roadside assistance, and free towing. Call 800-581-9027 now for your free quick quote. That's 800-581-9027. What do you have to lose? Call 800-581-9027. Again, 800-581-9027.
I'm Pat Krietlow, the founding editor of Up North News. We know you're looking to stay informed on the issues, and Up North News helps you stay informed on the day's headlines and the best parts about living in Wisconsin. We report the day's top stories and cut through the both sidesism that makes a lot of news products so vague. We're a newsroom that's not afraid to stand for something and call things as they are, not what a consultant would want us to say so that no one is unhappy. Plus, we share stories about Wisconsin people, places, food, events, and more. We love living here. That's why it's worth fighting for. But to get our democracy functional again, news has to be something that helps a voter feel informed, not overwhelmed. Along with my daily headlines and commentary here on the radio, you can find our stories on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Search for Up North News WI. Don't forget the WI. And sign up for our daily newsletter at upnorthnewswi.com. Up North News is unabashedly Wisconsin news.
The Devil's Advocates. Never personal, only politics.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show, the 5 o'clock happier happy hour. Somebody on University Avenue just got pulled over by the Smokies. They're not going to be very happy, but we are, Dom, because we got a fine guest, Pat Krietlow. He's joined me here in the world headquarters, Devil Radio. Pat Krietlow is the morning host on WXCO, Bull Falls Radio, and you know him from his commentaries right here from the Up North News. Pat Krietlow, welcome back to the big show, fella.
Hello. You played Crossfire there, and I got all nervous like I had to fill the next 3 hours. I'm really glad.
Hey,
I got no notes today.
Come on, man. Dom and I collectively can barely fill 2 hours anymore. Pat, you've been doing a lot of hard work for this civic media radio enterprise. I'm shocked the boss doesn't have you doing high school play-by-play tonight.
Between the radio roles and the Up North News roles, we're already burning the candle at three ends here. I'd probably do it if asked. But that would be
don't do it.
That would be a mistake. It's all I can do to keep on top of our burgeoning network of station so far. But I hear it's going to be stations real soon, and I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, you say it like that, man. I'm going to shake a fist at you. Next up to join this will be WRCO in Richland, Salem, Wisconsin. And that station is an institution in that community. And there are two of them. There is a country station that has the Packers, your Packer outlet in southwestern Wisconsin, WRCO FM 100.9. But Pat, you and I and Dom, we're going to play out on the AM and an FM translator, as it's called. We're going to play out on 1450 AM and 107.7 FM. Had to think about that. It started to add up in my head. I'm not great at math on the radio.
This all has to be such a jumble to you by now.
Oh, no,
I've such a road warrior.
Got most of the details still. Don't ask Dom, but I know.
No. That's why I got Crudy here, man.
But Pat, I am looking forward to our expansion and your expansion on the airwaves. You're going to be the 8 to 11 shift on the new, and we're going to rebrand this radio station, the new WRCE, for Richland Center.
There you go.
The AM brand, the News Talk brand, the brand that you and I and Dom will play on, will be on WRCE. And I look forward to that. About a week from today, we're going to launch that. So a week from now, you could listen to us there as well.
I just love the way this is all expanding, and not just for the live options, but the podcast options as well, that people can catch us so many different ways. Terrestrially, as is that a real word?
Terrestrial radio. I'm
going to go with that. Or in all the various digital forms, or some people are catching us through Facebook and Twitter. It used to be you and I we would just go flip on a switch and be on a transmitter, and that was it. And now there's
All these you and I speak for yourself, old man. I don't know what you're talking about. No, when I first turned on the radio dial, it was a circular pot, and I was on
actual dial. Yes.
WLSU 89.9 playing just jazz all afternoon.
Just jazz.
In La Crosse. I didn't Chuck Mangione,
yeah, feels
and
so good, right?
maybe Wynton Marsalis. That was like the entirety of my jazz knowledge when I started that gig. And God, I was fearful. They warned us you couldn't drink on the air. We actually had to get licensed as broadcasters back then.
Wait, right? Oh yeah. Oh yes.
We have a differing standard now, don't we?
Yes, we've lowered the standard.
I still have that FCC card someplace where you actually have to kind of pass a little test almost to be authorized to operate a radio station.
You had to have a certain amount of time on the board, and you had to show competence. Tom, where's your license to broadcast?
Competence? Hang on a second. I'll print one out quick. I dubbed the license to broadcast, just like I made myself King of Milwaukee.
There you go.
That's how we do it now.
I have a permit. No, that's a piece of paper that says you can do whatever you want.
Well, we've got a fine guest here in the Madison studios. He is Pat Krietlow. I'd like to think of him as king of all media. Pat is the editor of the Up North News, and he does commentary here on the station. And he's also the morning host, beginning with Bull Falls Radio, where you're listening right now on WXEO, but soon WRCE in Richland Center, and some other editions in northern Wisconsin. We're going to be in the Fox Valley soon, Pat.
I can't wait.
It will be not a worldwide endeavor, but a statewide endeavor. And Pat, this has been, I got to tell you, Dom and I have been doing this like 11 years. Wisconsin is the petri dish for bad Republican governance. The semi-fascism preceded Trump right here in the state of Wisconsin. And you were a state lawmaker, Pat. It used to be.
Yes.
Simpler
unseated,
times then.
Unseated in 2010 in the Tea Party wave when the dark times first began, when the things that all of the folks watching Trump see, like you said, we look at them and go, that's old news. We were there first.
Senator Krietlow, what were your terms of service?
The 4 years that I served, the 23rd Senate District in Chippewa County, Clark County, part of Marathon County, from 2006 to 2010. Some folks remember I unseated a longtime Republican senator named Dave Zine. And now my Senate seat is filled by Republican Kathy Bernier, one of the very, 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 very few Republican legislators who will actually acknowledge Joe Biden won the election.
And she's retiring.
And she's retiring, of course, like anybody else who stands up to Trump, or at least stands up to the lies, partially or totally, is hitting the bricks, saying, I do not want to be part of this circus any longer. And I can't say I blame her. She was a former Chippewa County clerk. So she understands how elections work. She and I disagree on probably 90 to 95% of everything, but she's right on this. So I'm gonna say as much. And it's too bad that the list is mighty small of the people like her and Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, and that's it, isn't it? Yeah.
Throw some Mitt Romney in there for good measure.
Well, occasional Mitt Romney
when he feels like it. Yes,
Hell, Mitt Romney's about as reliable as Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema.
Yes, exactly. And what had changed, those two brought to us, where 6 months ago we didn't think anything was going to get done, and it was going to be just a Democratic slaughter. And somehow, eventually, Manchin and Sinema came around. Some things actually got done. And then between that and the Dobbs decision by the Supreme Court, things aren't looking nearly as dire in November as they would have earlier this year, provided people don't take things for granted. And that of course, is always the complacency is what kills you in politics.
Pat, we've seen lots of statistics, and Ben Wikler, the Democratic Party chair from Wisconsin, was on prior, and he said the number of women that are registering to vote is enormous relative to the number of men currently registering to vote in the midterms. Be careful what you wish for, you pro-birth GOP social wedge issue lovers. This is going to be a much bigger hot potato than they think, don't you think, Pat?
Oh, without a doubt. Wisconsin has got the third highest gender gap of new voter registration, only behind Kansas, which just had that referendum, and Idaho. And we had on our show this morning, we played a long clip from a woman who's a Republican state senator in South Carolina but just ripping her male colleagues up and down for not having an exception for rape or incest in their proposed abortion ban. And
sounds like Tim Michaels.
Exactly. Well, Tim Michaels would he would go so much further than that. And this particular state senator said what I think a lot of the Kansas women were saying. They were saying, look, we're not Democrats, we're not progressives, but we sure as heck aren't going as far as you want us to go when it comes to controlling our bodies. And that sentiment is still everywhere. It is not something that's going to, back down between now and November. If anything, it's going to continue to build.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Pat Krietlow from the Up North News joining us. Pat, from your perspective, you served as a state senator here in the state of Wisconsin, and you got elected by your constituents. Have you seen a difference from 2010 or 2006 to now, as far as the electorate is concerned, their level of engagement, their willingness to perhaps be more robust on some issues, or perhaps retreating away? What's your take on where things are now compared to when you were elected?
I think that the folks up in Chippewa County where I am, the ones who have been reliably, traditionally Republicans, still like to show that independent streak. They certainly did that when they elected me by a narrow margin over a long-time incumbent like Dave Zine. They don't mind putting the other party in a timeout when they feel like they have gone too far. They gave Scott Walker every benefit of the doubt, unfortunately. They even started to with Trump, but I think near the end of it, I think, again, part of the reason Trump lost in 2020 was that enthusiasm gap was continuing to dwindle. And this year, again, to come back to the Dobbs decision, a lot of those Republican voters are going to say, no, I'm not with you on this one. They may not vote for a Democrat, but they may just stay home, because not only are they upset about Dobbs, but they're looking at Ron Johnson and saying, really, we have this guy again? And so it's not going to be a cakewalk by any stretch of the imagination for Mandela Barnes or Tony Evers, but the enthusiasm gap is going to be down this year, at least for one cycle. It's not a big wholesale change, but this is definitely a year where a lot of the Republican voters you talk to don't have nearly the enthusiasm gap that they used to.
So then Pat, what do you think the disconnect is? Because what we see in large part are Republicans, not just here in the state of Wisconsin, but certainly across the country, engaging, embracing MAGA, being more MAGA. I'm super duper patriot MAGA. Give some money and I get a sticker. They're not listening. They're not retreating. The ones that do, Bernier, as you give as an example, are walking away from the gig. And the ones that are left, or the newcomers coming in, quote unquote newcomers, are all in MAGA. But how do you think that's going to play out, man?
Well, it's what I've said quite frequently about these folks, that there's we talked about how a lot of new voters were going to come up first because of Biden, and then because of the Dobbs decision, they were sick of Trump. So all these new Democratic voters were going to come up. And that's true. But there were also a lot of brand new voters who never voted before until they saw Donald Trump and said, wow, this is my guy. Typically they were the ones that were the weird uncle at Thanksgiving who was always angry, but he never voted. Now he's got a guy to vote for. Or at least he did for a couple of cycles.
I thought that was the weird uncle, but please continue.
Well, we all have
uncle.
Yeah, we all have reasons to be that. And so there were people that did turn out. And, there are still, as you drive around, northern Wisconsin, there's still a share of, Trump flags and let's go Brandon signs. But I
seemingly a lessening share, though, Pat.
That's what I was going to say. Is there seems to be, and I thought of one specifically, just off Lake Wissota, that I passed by yesterday, that had like 4 Trump and let's go Brandon signs in the yard, and now they're all gone. And what's back up is that, I forget, is the name of it the Gadsden flag, the one with the snake?
Don't tread on me.
Don't tread on me.
Yeah.
The original Tea Party flag from 2010. That's back up. It's as if that person wants to say, okay, Trump's a little too crazy even for me, but I still want to show that I'm a right-wing voter, But they look at, there's just, again, Don, not to take anything away from you, there's plenty of still enthusiastic MAGA voters out there.
Yeah.
But there's also enough who probably would continue to vote, but even they are looking and going, come on, guys, you lost the election. Just stop being a baby. Just man up, take the L, and let's move on. And the fact that Trump and others haven't, is starting to turn some of them off.
Pat, I was driving out to Richland Center, going to visit some of the new troops that'll join the civic media team, and saw a series of Mandela Barnes signs on the way out to Richland Center. I was in north central Wisconsin earlier this week, up in the Wisconsin Rapids area. Now, I certainly saw my share of Trump signs, but I'm starting to see some blue Tony Evers signs as well. And I think signs matter. And I hope that radio signals matter, but signs certainly matter.
Signs matter because they are a sign, no pun intended, of affirmation from people your neighbors. And you may not agree with your neighbors on everything, especially if you're somebody that doesn't vote frequently or if you're a truly, swing voter. And so if you see nothing but signs for Trump, like that was the case up here in northern Wisconsin in 2016, then people go, oh, I guess Trump might not be so bad after all. And the same will work with Tony Evers. There's a lot of folks that, he doesn't exactly exude enthusiasm for a lot of folks, but they've heard enough about Tim Michaels. They've seen the ads that as they start seeing more Evers signs, they see that affirmation as well. Whoever said lawn signs don't vote couldn't have been more wrong. They absolutely help you collect votes, especially in rural parts of the state.
Well, I think radio signals do as well. You can be a part of this little radio broadcast, 844-967-2789. That's Pat Krietlow. That's your crazy Uncle Dominic. That's Evan lightly screening the calls. I am Crudy. Come back. More Devils.
My neighbors have different opinions about COVID-19 vaccines. Getting vaccinated is your choice. No one can make your mind up for you. Talk to your healthcare provider about your questions and go to getvaccineanswers.org for the latest information. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
You get that every time.
Reservations at favorite restaurant.
I've been trying to reduce gluten. You don't want to know why. Thanks so much for waiting. Your table's ready.
Getting back to the moments we miss starts with getting informed.
Perfect, thanks.
Get the latest info about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
Hey, Jenny.
It's up to all of us. It's not just up to Democrats. Are we ready to rid our country of this perversion and deception? Are we sick of massacres at churches, grocery stores, theaters, concerts? Are we sick of adults forcing children who are raped into pregnancy? When is enough that we're going to vote out those fascists?
I'm putting you down for Caller Hall of Fame today. We have to carry these messages, even if the Democratic Party is incapable. You keep it up, sister.
Follow the Devil's Advocates on Facebook and Twitter. You've waited 12 years for this, but you just didn't know what the flavor was going to be. Nothing has tasted quite right up until now. Sometimes it tasted dumb, crazy, or even seditious, but now it tastes just right. Introducing Mandela Mash, a legit lager. This beer won't embarrass you in public. It comes in an aluminum can, not a tinfoil hat, and it was made in America, not Russia. With a clean finish, the taste doesn't lie. Mandela Mash, the only sane choice for U.S. Senate. Available only in Wisconsin. Go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com to find where you can buy this fresh new flavor of American democracy.
My mother was very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign and she wasn't even really sure where she was at.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates. Political commentary from the back of the class.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show, the last segment of this gorgeous Friday. If you have any grievances, give us a call right now, 844-967-2789.
I'd like to think I'm gorgeous every day, Dominic. And so's our guest.
I have a grievance. I came down here to see some friends, to see you guys, to do a little work. Had no idea why they were charging me more than double the usual rate for hotel rooms down here. Then I found out there was a Badger game. That kind of made sense. But then I found out about the Iron Man thing, which now makes sense because my hotel lobby is full of people who are so monstrously fit and in shape, and it's disgusting.
Hey, we're getting a random sound source. Where's that coming from?
It's the Iron Man people. That's
I know those Iron Man. I never trust healthy people.
No,
can't trust them.
I mean, I felt like, like bellowing out and going to myself because I felt like I was cattle compared to these people, looking so good and running and biking all the time. It's like I thought I was doing all right, he said, taking another sip of his liney summer.
Yeah, have some shandy. Let's get to the phones. If you don't mind, we're going to take a few calls. Pat Krietlow, our fine guest. He is the host of Up North News, and you can hear him. WXEO mornings, 8 to 11, coming to Richland Center very soon on WRCE 1450 AM and 107.7 FM. Tell a friend and other points all around the back of Russ Feingold's hand. We're going to be like the spots, the liver spots on the back of Russ's hand soon. But next up, Nate from Stoughton on the phones. Nate, welcome. Say hi to my friend Pat Krietlow.
Hey, Pat. How you doing?
I'm great, Nate. How are you?
I'm okay. Thank you for all your optimism. I mean, you're bringing it, and I appreciate that for sure. So
I've got to. We one of the things we talk about on our show a lot is the conversations. I've had a lot of candidates on, and that was one of my favorite parts of being a candidate was knocking on doors and talking to people. And yeah, you talk to the random, grouchy person, maybe a loser,
crazy Uncle Tom.
But Nate, there's a lot of people like you that they're just happy to talk to somebody for a few minutes. That you may not agree on everything, but they're so tired of political ads and political mailers and everything else. They just want to talk to a human. And there's a lot more of that out there. If we just have more of these conversations, like you taking the time to pick up the phone.
I appreciate that. No, I shouldn't, but you did a great job, though. And you, like I said, you bring me optimism. But why I want to call is I agree with Don was saying earlier about the whole Queen situation, passing, God rest. I mean, but to me, I mean, it's Kardashian with a crown. I mean, people win the birthday lottery, and I don't know, man. I'm on par with Dom there, so.
Well, Nate, if you're on the radio claiming you're on par with Dom, I really feel for you, sir.
Oh, come on. You have great judgment, Nate. Thanks for paying attention, man.
844-967-2789. Please, God, have better taste than my pal Nate from Stoughton. Dick from Madison. Actually, you all have wonderful taste. You're listening to the Devil's Advocates.
Right,
we got a fine guest. He's Pat Krietlow from Up North News on WXEO, Bull Falls Radio. And you can be a part of this big show before the end at 844-967-2789. I'm going to jump ahead. A new name, Jim from Appleton. Welcome, Jim. Say hi to my pal, Pat.
Hello, Pat.
Hello, Jim. Happy Friday to you.
Oh, we lost him. What happened?
Oh, no. I blame the cell phone coverage in Appleton.
Yes.
844-967-2789. Jim from Appleton, give us a call back. In the meantime, Dick from Madison, you're up. Happy Friday, Dick. What do you got for us?
Hey, Dick.
Hey, real quick for CJ, gas is $3.19 at Woodman's today on the east side.
Ooh.
And I looked at the barrel price. It's down to $81. And you know what?
For a barrel of beer? That's not bad.
No. With the barrel price of oil, the last time it was in the low 80s, you know where it corresponded to in price at the pump?
What's that, Dick?
About $2.95 to $3.05. So who's screwing who here, CJ?
There you go.
You know, I get so sick of hearing this crap. You know, the nonstop stuff about inflation. You know, whatever, but that was my rant for today. Just glad to get it by. And oh, by the way, Ron Johnson, real quick, where were you on July 4th, 2018? That's what I'd be asking him constantly.
Well, he was in Russia, of course.
Yes.
Appreciate it, Dick. One thing I would say about CJ is, he's probably not screwing anybody. Maybe Rosie Palmer. 844-967-2789. Back to the phones. Jim from Appleton. Welcome back, Jim. We don't normally do a double date, but I think you had more to say, I suspect.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah. Hi, Pat. Hi, guys.
Hey.
My cat decided to get playful. But my grievance is terminology. Words mean things. Fox Opinion and Entertainment should not be able to call itself news. And Republicans calling themselves conservatives, I haven't found a single darn thing that they're trying to conserve. They want to go back to Civil War and before times. That's pretty regressive to me.
Jim, how are you listening to us today, if I may ask? How'd you find the Devil's Advocates? Or
Devil's Radio app.
Awesome.
There we go.
I wish you guys would get a station up in the area. It'd be much more convenient. But,
well, we have a station coming your way, Jim. You just got to be a little patient. WISS 1100 AM and 98.3 FM out of Oshkosh, which, Jim, I will tell you, I've driven it in Appleton quite often. Pretty damn good, man. You're going to like it. So we're coming your way, Jim.
Cool.
Give us probably 2 weeks to a month.
Good. I'm enjoying all your programming. It's just eating up my phone battery listening to you.
First world problems.
Jim, appreciate you listening, man. Just, you know what, Jim? Actually, try 540 AM. You could probably hear us. You might have to turn it up a little bit, get it a little louder than the static, but you can hear the 540 AM signal all the way to Appleton. It's the beast of the East, I tell you.
844-967-2789. Pat, to Jim's point, I mean, this Republican Party has just been totally made over. Whatever they thought they were, pretended to be, or whatever facade was once up, seemingly no longer exists. Your thoughts?
We had Mark Jacob on this morning, former editor of the Chicago Tribune and Chicago Sun-Times, and now he critiques the media on our show on Fridays. And he mentioned that today's Republicans are opposed to healthcare workers. They're opposed to teachers. They're opposed to election workers. Is there anything about modern society that they're actually for and like? That's an open question.
I like you, Pat Krietlow.
I like you too, guys.
And I like the Up North News, and I like how you host the 8 to 11 shift on WXEO Bull Falls Radio. Give them a listen. Coming your way, especially in Richland Center and in the Fox Valley soon. He's Pat Krietlow. Don't forget, right here on this radio network, we've got high school football going off very, very soon in the Shaw, a WIRI in Nakusa, and also up on WXEO Bull Falls Radio. Thanks for listening. Thank you, Pat Krietlow. Thank you, Evan. Have a great weekend.
We've made great progress today.
Yeah, probably.
Get ready for 2 weeks at the happiest place on earth, Tijuana!
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning,